purpose of this bill is to make the buying, selling, and possession of these fins illegal and punishable by law. Sharks, being animals of nature, are protected by various animal abuse laws, and in general, shark finning, as it's called, is wrong and cruel. You see, the problem with this is that sharks have their fins removed from them and then are thrown back into the sea while they are at sea. The problem with this is that the sharks, now with their fins off, make it near impossible to swim, which is allowing predators to easily kill them. It also suffocates the sharks, which is even more morally wrong and incorrect. The International Union of Conservation of Nature states that shark finning is widespread and threatens global shark populations worldwide. The benefit of this bill is protecting more sharks from unnecessary, cruel, and immoral actions. With the restrictions that would be put in place, with this bill, will allow the sharks to sustain in the environment. Section 5502 outlines the details, and I'm going to read those outlines. It states that the possession of shark fins is permissible if the shark was landed under a license from another state and it is being possessed in the Commonwealth for taxidermy. So this is going to be able to keep these sharks alive and well. So the main reason why I should approve my bill is that shark populations are taking steep declines. Since the beginning of shark finning, there are 39 species of shark that are critically endangered according to the ICUN Red List. They also report that in the last 50 years, some species have dropped with their populations of 80%. Also, another reason why you should vote my bill up is that the loss of these sharks will cause prey unstabilization and food declines in marine environments. Enric Sala, of Scripps Institution of Oceanography, explains that the loss of this big marine predator will prove overpopulations of many kinds of fish, making others die off due to the lack of food. She also adds, with the major population decline in sharks that we have been seeing already, she says that we are already experiencing these types of situations.
30 seconds.
These sharks should not be subject to such cruel, immoral, and awful acts. We have to see that it is immoral, and we must pass a bill to further protect them and so that they are not wrongly killed or immorally hurt. So, in numerous states already, in numerous countries, similar bills and laws have been passed. With the needs of citizens of Pennsylvania considered, we should pass this bill to prohibit the possession and sale of shark fins in Pennsylvania.
The opposition may begin.
So, Senator Brittingham has identified the problem that we're having. The reason this bill is being put out there is because sharks are being hunted for their fins and being thrown back in the ocean. And I'd like to say, first of all, that I agree that that is a huge problem and that it's terribly inhumane to throw sharks back in the ocean without their fins. The problem with this bill is that it doesn't solve the problem that's being targeted. I'd like to throw a couple of stats at you real quickly. There are only 8 restaurants in Pennsylvania that serve shark fins, and USA as a whole only has 36,000 imports of shark fins a year, whereas China and other Asian countries have a combined 200,000. So, first of all, on a global scale, Pennsylvania is pretty insignificant. Secondly, this bill doesn't solve the problem at hand. If there was a way to regulate the fishermen that are doing this to the sharks, that would be wonderful, but there really isn't, because there's probably American ones out there, but it's a more Asian market, and there's nothing we can do about it really right now. I'll give the rest of
Maybe
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, I'd like to point out to all of you that this bill desperately needs to be amended. Now, I agree, as well as these two do, that shark finning is an inhumane activity to get shark fins, of course, and to throw them back and easily kill them. But of course, the rest of the shark can be used. But the bill does need to be amended in a way that shark finning could only be legal inside of certain areas or certain years, certain times, and still wouldn't have an impact on the fishermen that do rely on this for a certain source of income. And quite honestly, have you seen where Pennsylvania is on the land grid? We're not exactly a bayside state. we don't have as many imports of shark fins as tons of other states that would be more in desperate need of this bill than what we have right now. Quite honestly, this bill wouldn't solve almost anything inside of the larger scale version of what shark finning is. So either this bill does need to be amended or it just needs to be stopped altogether, because is it worth taking away another freedom that Pennsylvanians have just for the small reason of Pennsylvania? Thank you.
The floor is now open for debate. Yes, Senator Wall.
I wish to make a point that the opposition is, Mr. Chair, the opposition is saying that we only have 6, is that correct? 8 restaurants in Pennsylvania that serve shark fins. If we're so insignificant, why is it a big deal that some fishermen who rely on shark finning in Pennsylvania, why is that such a big deal? Because if it's so insignificant, then there's a small people amount affected, and sharks are endangered. I would like to quote Mulan: a single grain of rice can tip the scale. One man can be the difference between victory and defeat. Well, in this case, sharks, but you didn't get my point.
Yes, I can recognize chair members, committee members, unless you didn't.
Yes, question. Yes, question. Before
I'd like to point out something about the bill.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know if you did have a question.
I was making a statement. I'm sorry.
Oh, I
Yes.
thought
I'd like to make a statement. Despite it not being a very common enterprise in Pennsylvania, it still has a good amount of money in it for fishermen. And though not a ton of sharks come through, when it does, it could be a significant catch for the fishermen and being able to do that. Also, let me go back to the point that this bill doesn't need to be amended. It can be used for many other things instead of just throwing the shark back into the water. We could add in laws about how the shark has to be treated or that the entire shark has to be used.
Yes, Senator Pierce.
I would like to agree with what Senator Wall said. He mentioned that without any of these restrictions that they might become endangered. Don't you think that since these sharks really have no way of actually protecting themselves from these fishermen, that there should be laws and regulations in order to protect them so they don't become endangered and therefore maybe extinct if we keep just cutting off their fins just to eat them? That seems extremely cruel and unusual, especially that once you cut them off, it makes it harder for them to swim and therefore they can also suffocate and die. And suffocation is a very slow and painful death for any creature to have to endure.
All right, I have a statement. I have a statement to make. I believe we really need to evaluate the psyche of these sharks. You know, they have been given a bad rap. I mean, don't you think they might favor the good publicity of having shark fins displayed? You know, because every time people think of sharks, they think of da-dum, da-dum. And, well, they need to be able to enjoy being sharks, you know? And fish are hunted and killed all the time, because already sharks are killed. So I think we should not pass this bill. No, we should pass this bill.
Wait, what? You just got to take it.
See, I think we need to further evaluate this one, as people need to be able to support sharks in all walks of life. Yes, Senator Green.
I'd like to address something that you made. They stated that, and Senator Wall also pointed out, there are restaurants that sell, there are only 8 restaurants that sell shark fins. But even more to the point, even if it is only 8, those are still 8 restaurants, those are still sharks being hurt that should not and do not deserve to be hurt. As insignificant as it may be, the most that we can do is ban this so that these sharks that we do have effect on can live, as you said, the way that they want to live.
Can I make a point?
Not unless you address this, not on the committee. I'm sorry. Senator Wall, just a quick question.
I wish to extend the debate by 2 minutes.
Okay, debate is ended. I motion to extend debate. No second. Yes, Senator Pierce.
I second the motion to extend debate.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. All right, we're going to extend debate for 3 minutes. Senator Wall, ask your question.
I would also like to point out that sharks are indeed not endangered. Not all of them, but most of them are. And we can admire the beauty of the great white shark, the bull shark, the tiger shark, the bluefin shark. All of those are beautiful creatures. And I realize that they have been given a bad rap by entertainment in Hollywood, such as Jaws, Jaws 2, Jaws 3, Jaws 4, probably 6 other Jaws movies. But I want to point out that they're very beautiful creatures. They're an important part in the ecosystem of the entire ocean, and they are being endangered not only by shark finning, but other factors as well that, of course, are not addressed in this bill, but it does fix one thing, and I think that's something that's very, very important, that outweighs the needs of a fisherman who can very well make his living on any other kind of fish in the ocean, especially one that is not endangered, for example. Thank you.
Yes, Senator Miller.
Mr. Chairman, I think that the question that we're all circling around is whether the opposition would suggest that because we are a small participant in this inhumane activity, we should still continue in it.
Yes, the opposition may respond.
That's not really the main point that we have. We're saying it should be amended as well, that we should fix the bill so it covers all the needs that we need to get across for this. And we were saying in the large aspect of what shark fishing is, we're not as demanding or as damaging to the shark population as many other states or countries can be.
The truth of the matter is that this bill does nothing to prevent the abuse of sharks, which is what we're trying to get at, that you guys seem to be targeting.
Chair recognizes Senator Hughes.
This is directed towards the opposition. They keep mentioning that they want to amend the bill, but they haven't exactly said how they want to in order to let them explain themselves. So maybe this bill could be made better if they could tell how they want the bill to be amended.
Yes,
I did mention in my opening statement how to amend the bill, and I mentioned tactics such as making shark fishing only legal inside of certain times of year, and making possibly shark reserves where they can't be hunted, making certain areas safe for them, and then making laws saying that if you making humane ways to kill the shark if you do catch one inside of a hunting season. So instead of just finning them and throwing the body back into the ocean, they can humanely kill the shark before they fin it, and then use the rest of the body as well for good uses that could be beneficial to everybody else.
Yes, Senator Brittingham.
I'd just like to make a statement that, as I pointed out in my case, that shark finning is something that has been expanding globally, and it's an extreme, something that has been abusing animal rights for the last 50 years. As much as we can do to stop this is what the course of action that we should take. We shouldn't just recognize, okay, we're small.
Time.
No. Okay,
All right, Senator Wall.
I wish you extended the debate again.
6 seconds. Senator Pierce.
I second the motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against it say nay. Senator Wall, you may ask your question.
Sharks are not necessarily, I should clarify myself. I have watched tons of documentaries, read a lot about them, and while they do like to stay in certain areas, they are also migratory animals, and they're sort of more or less unpredictable in where they go, when they're going to be there. You could have one great white shark, for example, in the Pennsylvania area, right off the shore or whatever, and then if you tag it, it can easily be, in less than 3 months, be literally on the other side of the world. That's just how unpredictable they are. So having hunting seasons, having shark reserves, it's not as easy to do because obviously the ocean is bigger. It's not as easy to do as establishing reserves for land animals, for example. I don't think that amending the bill to have something like that would necessarily solve the problem. Thank you.
Any further questions? All right. Yeah, I will ask the. Is that a question? Oh, yeah. So, do you have a question to the opposition? All right, I would like to ask the opposition to explain themselves. issue one more time if he wishes to. What he just called.
So the idea isn't specifically what amendments, we're not shark experts. The question here is whether we impose a bill on the restaurants and people that would possess a shark in Pennsylvania versus you can't fish for sharks from Pennsylvania. So basically, this bill is going to victimize restaurant owners instead of the people that are abusing the sharks, and changing regulations should be enforced in another state that's on the coastline or near sharks.
All right, one final question. Senator Miller.
The opposition has suggested an amendment which would control fishing seasons and what could be brought in. I'm just curious how we would even go about enforcing what catch comes in on the coasts of other states.
Yes. Senator Patrick.
I think another great question to add on to that is how are we going to enforce it if it's made illegal to hunt for sharks? The same way we would enforce it if we impose this bill making it illegal to hunt for sharks. How would we enforce it the same way?
Well, I don't have the bill. Oh, sorry, am I?
Yes. Did you mean to ask the support how they would enforce their law against making it illegal?
No, sorry, it was the opposition, and I guess, may I continue to?
Yes. That's your question.
I don't have the bill in front of me, and maybe I'm not quite understanding the bill, but my understanding was that the bill would make the possession and the trade of the shark fins illegal. And that was not what you just addressed.
So I'm understanding that you were wondering how to enforce that law.
Yeah, it's a different thing to enforce the trade and the possession of shark fins in Pennsylvania than it is to enforce what fishermen are bringing in on the coast of other states.
Yes, that's true. I think, again, I'm just going to pull us back more basic. I'm going to say, don't worry about the details. Senator
Okay, time is up.
Penn.
We're going to do our arguments. Defense.
Opponent each has 1 minute and supporting has 2. Opposition, you may begin when ready.
So this bill is basically what we're trying to say here is we need to amend this bill to target more specifically people that are bringing in and killing and suffocating and cutting the fins off of sharks violently, instead of store owners that are getting these things, which is part of their cultural heritage, which is something we didn't really touch on, but it's part of Chinese heritage to have this shark fin soup that they have. So it's more about the fact that this is kind of victimizing the shop owners when it should be imposed on people that are fishing for, because I'm assuming the Chinese people don't go out and fish their own sharks. So
What this bill is trying to enforce is a way to protect sharks from hunting and finning, which is a positive thing. Only there's better ways of doing it than just making finning and fishing for them illegal. There's a much larger scale that we have to focus on here, rather than just here in Pennsylvania, where it's not as major of a thing as many other places. We can focus on ways to make it amended and make it further protecting the sharks, instead of just making it to not kill them. We can make it to try to save them and try to make safer areas and habitats for them.
Alright, thank you. I think the real question that we have to address here is that should we continue to contribute to shark finning? What the bill is suggesting is that we cannot continue to trade, sell, or possess a shark fin, right? So the real question is that clearly we're contributing to it by trading and all this other stuff that I just listened. So the real question is, should we continue to make these sharks suffer, continue to make them and be hurt, rather than just eliminating it. So that's the little bit more that we can do. Animals have rights, and that's a thing. So, and just another thing I'd like to talk about is that what my opponents have just been saying is basically saying is that it's kind of insignificant to pass this bill. If anything, it is one of the most important things that we have debated today. Are we to continue hurting sharks? Are we to continue allowing the deaths of sharks and the pain and suffering of these sharks, or just allow for our own happiness to just have shark fin soup that we can only get in 8 places in Pennsylvania? I think absolutely not. You should totally vote to pass this bill so that we can continue to, so that we can do our little bit in the world so that we do not hurt sharks. And this, and you should definitely vote it because we are trying to protect these sharks. We are trying to make it so that these sharks don't have to be in pain. We can do our little bit that we are in our small part of the world. Thank you.
We'll now take a vote. Brittingham?
Aye.
Jonah? Aye. Edmondshade?
Aye.
Beringer?
Aye.
Pavlovich? Miller?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Kern?
Aye.
Wall?
Aye.
Senate Bill 340 passes with 8 ayes and 1 nay.